Hi, I'm Gail.
Hi, I'm Catherine. Welcome to Women Over 70 Aging Reimagined, our award-winning weekly podcast. And visit womenover70.com to learn how you may become involved, join Aging Reimagined Circle, and enjoy free participation in our online monthly programs. And thanks for listening today. And thanks to our sponsor, Plymouth Place in LaGrange Park, Illinois, where senior living is redefined with options and opportunities to fit individual needs and preferences.
And today we want to introduce you to Mimi Donaldson. 77 years old, she was referred to us by Andy Lyons, a podcast collaborator of ours. Mimi's internationally known as a superstar in the speaking business, keynoting with celebrities for audiences of thousands. She's an active speaker coach, creating speeches for executives, celebrities, entrepreneurs, and sales staff with 24 clients appearing on the TEDx stage. Before starting her speaking and coaching business, she was a human resources trainer with Walt Disney Company, Northrop Aircraft, and Rockwell International. Mimi has a master's degree in education from Columbia University Teachers College and is the author of 4 books. Her latest book is Pitch Perfect, Speak to Grow Your Business in 7 Simple Steps, and in the works is I've Had Enough Applause. When Mimi speaks, people listen, they laugh, and they learn. So welcome, Mimi, to Women Over 70, Aging Reimagined.
Oh, thank you, Gail. You've just made my title of my autobiography real in the universe, so I guess I have to write it.
Yes, you do. When we spoke, you mentioned that a driving force for you is that you don't want people to be boring, which I loved. It sat through one too many speakers who were boring. Is that true?
Yes, we all have. And that's why I make the formula, or how I say the audiences want to hear what you have to say. I make it in an organized fashion so anybody can be more organized in what they say.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't want them to be boring.
But how do you keep them from being boring, however? They can be organized and still be boring.
I know. Then you have to talk about energy. Then you have to infuse them and try to tell them how important energy is.
Okay. And how do you get that energy when you're probably scared stiff to get up in front of an audience and speak?
Wow, if I had this answer to that, but here's my answer, because I have faced that. Nervousness is just energy gone wrong, because you've got all this stuff going on, endorphins and adrenaline, and everything's just, you're so supposedly nervous. What most people do is they freeze it down. They take it in and they get like this and they get very frozen, flight or fight. Yes. But what you really need to do is increase the energy the more nervous you are. And there are 5 channels through which you give out energy. On Zoom, we've got the eyes and the voice and a little bit of hands. But in front of a room of people or one-to-one in person, you've got your eyes, you've got your voice, you've got your hands, you've got your body, and you've got your feet. And so you can put energy through all those channels. The person with the more energy gets the more results.
That makes so much sense. It really does. It really does.
Yeah.
And so I was interested when we talked. You said there was a time when if anybody would ask you to speak, you'd be there. You'd be there.
Yeah.
No money changed hands. You were just happy to be there. And
well,
the crowd.
That's what comes from being a drama major. And then from being a teacher, you're really used to being in front of the room. And people who want speaking careers, I always say, organize a really good speech and then do it everywhere you can, even for free. Because you know that old joke about how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice.
Right.
And that's what really, separates people who say they want to speak from people who really speak.
That makes
Got to do that hard work. It's not enough to just love the sound of your voice. I actually had a client that said he loved the sound of his voice. I thought he was kidding, but no, he was serious.
Okay. So how'd you make the transition then from speaking whenever and wherever you could to
Well,
charging and making a career out of it?
yeah. Well, it was actually the other people will tell you where you're supposed to be. The universe, I always say, is your guru. And if you listen to what the messages are, it'll tell you the next step. So there I am being a trainer in human resources with a salary. And my last human resources job was at Rockwell International Space Division. We built the shuttles. And I'm standing in front of the room and I just thought that's my life. It's a teacher. I get to entertain a little bit. You know, it's the drama major, but I get to teach managers how to manage. And guys kept saying to me, you should do a keynote. And I said, what's a keynote? And they said, well, it's that funny part before lunch that you do about communication between genders. And I went, really? And they went, oh, that's so funny. You could do that and get paid to do that. And then one of the guys at Toyota said, you should start your own comedy routine. You should be a stand-up comic. And I actually tried that. It's so hard. But keynote speaking came out of the training because somebody said that's a funny part that could stand alone. And Toyota was actually the first one who paid me for the keynote instead of the 8-hour leadership course. They just wanted the funny, pithy parts. I went, what? And so that started my keynote. Then I changed all my trainings into keynote speeches. And that was 1989. I started my business in 84 when I was 36. And so it was all training in 4-hour modules, which changed behavior until around 1989 when keynoting pays more. Oh, okay. And I get to fly around the world and I get airfare paid for. And I thought that was exciting. So I did all my traveling in my 40s and 50s. People say they want to retire and travel. I go, no, I just want to stay home. I am not into traveling in my 70s. It's just not as fun. I want my pillow, stuff like that.
Interesting. Yeah, that is fun. So I'm really curious about TED Talks.
Okay.
I did a TEDx talk once and yeah, it's not easy.
It's not easy because they make you memorize it. I always say if you're talking to anybody, either one-to-one or a small group, they don't mind if you read it.
Right.
As long as you're communicating, when you're connecting with them,